Jar Binks. You are listening to Behind the Lens.
And we are back. I forgot Jar Jar was introducing us today, Brian. Welcome back for another week of Behind the Lens. I'm Debbie Lynn Elias, film critic, creator, and host of Behind the Lens. Throughout the week, 24/7, you can find my movie reviews and interviews on over 140 publications printed online around the world. But every Monday, you can find me right here on Adrenaline Radio at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And we're kicking off the month of November. Are we not, trusty sidekick Brian?
Trusty sidekick Brian here. And yes, the month of October was way too short for my liking.
And it was a jam-packed month here on Behind the Lens.
Every week was a better show than the last, for sure. Especially Halloween. Halloween was awesome.
Halloween having Oscar winner Mark Mangini with us. A real treat. And for anybody that misses any of our shows, you can find us on iTunes. Every show is on iTunes. You can also find every show on moviesharkdeblore.com and adrenalineradio.com in the archives. So, check us out, like, comment, subscribe. But then every Monday, listen for us here. And today we got a big show coming up today. A favorite guest of ours, the head crazy bitch of the Crazy Bee Nation. We're not counting how many times we use that word today, Brian, just so you know. Jane Clark, writer-director Jane Clark of the hilarious, horrifically fun Crazy Bitches, is back to talk about the upcoming Crazy Bitches 2, Mommies Behaving Badly. So Jane will be with us in just a few minutes at the quarter-hour mark. You don't ever want to miss listening to Jane. And we're going to talk all about the Indiegogo campaign that is currently going for Crazy Bitches 2 and all the cool perks and merchandise you can get. And at 11:30, at the half-hour mark, I am so thrilled. We have with us the filmmakers from a charming, fun, and incredibly auditory film, All in Time. Co-writer-director Chris Fetchko and co-writer-director Marina Donahue are going to be with us. And we're going to have some music today. That was a great surprise this morning to get an email from the film's publicist that we actually are going to hear music from the film from the incredible group, the Badleys, who come out of Pennsylvania, and Laura Shea from my home territory, Philadelphia. You're going to hear some of that shortly. What did we decide, Brian? Are we going to No, we're going to play that later.
Yeah, we decided on the half-hour mark.
There are so many behind-the-scenes doings here, and my feeble brain doesn't always remember it. But right now, we're going to do a favorite segment. Are we not?
I'm ready for it.
Well, then, by all means.
Where we talk about food.
No, we're not talking about food. Brian's already yelling he's starving today.
Yeah, I woke up hungry.
Well, that's not
different.
Yeah. And last week was Halloween, so you got candy last week. You do not get it this week.
Oh, yeah, no. That's hoping.
But right now we are doing a segment that is here due to popular demand. It is time for...
It's the Star Wars Countdown.
Oh, my God. I'm going to pretend I didn't hear that. All of you, please don't turn off.
Yeah.
Don't turn off the show.
That popped in my head right now. I'm proud of myself for that. I know you loved it. You loved it. Okay, Star Wars. Let's do this one quickly because we have an action-packed show. Rogue One. When I open this page up right now, I got so excited. My heart dropped a little bit and how many days we are away from it.
Okay.
38 days, 12 hours, and 55 minutes to go. When Disney, you're listening, I know you are, please start selling the tickets already because I am getting anxious that I can't pre-order my tickets. Last year around this time, I already had my seat for episode 7. So get on that, Disney, please. I want to know where I'm going to be sitting already. I'm not coming into work on Friday because I'm going to watch it twice on Thursday. Just to let you know, I'm going to watch it twice on Thursday. But not too far behind, Star Wars Episode 8 is 402 days away, 12 hours and 54 minutes to go. So that one is close as well.
And, of course, did you see that over the weekend, a new trailer for Rogue One dropped?
I was at the gym when I saw it for the first time on ESPN.
It's on my website.
Oh,
Everybody, if you haven't seen it, go check it out. It's there along with all kinds of cool images, the new banner posters that dropped.
yeah. It's beautiful.
It's getting very, very exciting.
It really is. They showed more Felicity Jones in the new trailer,
Yes.
which I'm excited for because she is a cutie. I
and
love
she
her.
kicks ass.
Yeah, and she does. Yeah, she looks like a strong female character, which I love. I love that Star Wars is coming out. I couldn't tell you how overjoyed I was to see so many little Reys from Episode 7. I saw every little girl was either Rey or they were Kylo Ren.
Yep.
And I love that. I love that finally there is a strong female character in the Star Wars franchise where you can be that for the children, dude. I loved it. I love seeing the little Reys. I enjoyed
know.
it.
I thought that was it's just fabulous.
It was so adorable. And I saw a lot of adult Reys too.
Yes, but it's the little girls that are the best.
That's the cutest, yeah.
Yes. So, we're going to take a short break right now, and we're going to come back and we're going to talk Hacksaw Ridge, the best picture of the year.
It's time to get crazy with Crazy Bitches 2. That's right, the team behind Crazy Bitches is back and needs your help to bring Crazy Bitches 2 to life. You can back the film and do your holiday shopping at the same time, thanks to fun swag and exciting opportunities that will ship just in time to put under or on your tree. Christmas ornaments turn deadly when mommies behave badly and someone can't take it anymore. So go crazy. Join the Crazy Bee Nation and go to the Indiegogo campaign at igg.me/@/CrazyBS2. Crazy Bee Nation. Crazy Bitches 2.
And welcome back to Behind the Lens. I am Debbie Elias, creator, host, and film critic. And you just heard a little tease of what's going to come when Head Crazy Bitch Jane Clark joins us shortly. But right now, we're gonna hear a little bit of what happened at the press day for Hacksaw Ridge. If you haven't seen it yet, it opened this weekend. Mel Gibson is in fighting form. It's been 10 years since we saw him behind the camera, and he does not disappoint. Hacksaw Ridge, it's based on the true story of the very first conscientious objector to ever be awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor, which was presented to him October 12th of 1945 by Harry S. Truman. It is the story of one of the battles on Okinawa, that which occurred on the escarpment known as Hacksaw Ridge. And Desmond Doss was a young man who was determined never to pick up a gun, never to pick up a knife. He was also a practicing and very devout Seventh-day Adventist. He held to his morals, he held his convictions and beliefs, and he still wanted to fight, but he wanted to fight by saving lives, and that is what he did. And on a night while they were being bombarded, after hours and hours and hours of an onslaught by the Japanese, the battalion, the 77th Battalion, pulled out. Desmond Doss was still on top of Hacksaw Ridge and was getting ready to leave also when he heard fellow soldiers calling out for help. They were up there, they were alive, they were trapped. He stayed up there, and he single-handedly rescued 75 men and lowered them down a 400-foot escarpment to the beach below. It's an incredible story. Mel Gibson has delivered a film that is beyond reproach. It is technically flawless. The story, written by Robert Schenken and Andrew Knight, is fabulous. So I had a chance to commend Mel and the team at the press day, and here's what the exchange went down.
First of all, congratulations to all of you. Mel, it's been well worth the 10-year wait for this film. Best Picture of the Year.
Oh, your lips to God's ear.
I want to ask you, Mel, about your editing. John Gilbert's editing and your sound design is some of the finest I've seen in a film, especially a film with battle sequencing. Can you talk about working with your considerations and working with John and your sound team to achieve the level of immersion that you did?
Well, John is now working on another film I'm involved with because I loved what he did so much. And, you start to work with someone. He's got good credits, Lord of the Rings and stuff, And, but it wasn't until I actually worked with John, like I was a week in and I was worshiping him. So, it's beyond question. The man's a truly great editor, film editor, and did wonders with some of these images too. Like, I was like, wow, that's cool. Let's stick this together with this. They don't belong together, but by God, it works, And it's crazy, right? But the sound team, I mean, didn't they just win an Oscar or something? Those guys for like Mad Max or something. So I hunted them down in Sydney, and there they were, doing nothing. So, why not?
And just to clarify for everybody, we talked about this last week with Mark Mangini. The sound designer on Hacksaw Ridge is actually Rob McKenzie. Mark Mangini was the sound editor, and it was his sound team that won the Oscar for Mad Max. But Rob McKenzie, and hopefully we're going to have Rob on the show coming up sometime in the near future. But he did an amazing, amazing job with the sound editing and the sound design. I can't recommend this film highly enough. But, where did this story come from? Since 1945, no one has told this story. Nobody knows of this story. So I asked two of the producers who were on hand, David Permut and Bill Mechanic, how'd you get the story? And then, of course, the obvious question, why Mel Gibson?
Okay, we need to hear from the two men that found this story and brought it to all of us. David and Bill, how did you find Desmond's story? And then what led you to Mel as the director?
David, why don't you kick it off?
Well, I'll just briefly tell you because it's been a 16-year journey for me, so I'll encapsulate that in a short story. There was a stunt coordinator named Joel Kramer who had worked with me on a number of films I produced, and he actually mentioned Desmond's name to me for the first time 16 years ago. And he knew a friend who had known Desmond who came into my office, and they told me the story of Desmond Doss. And I didn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. I thought it was one of the most heroic, miraculous stories I've ever heard. It sounded like it was made up. And I thought I knew history quite well. I had never heard of Desmond Doss, and nor had anyone else, because I found out that I wasn't the first person interested in telling Desmond's story. I was preceded by Hal Wallace, the legendary producer. I was preceded by Daryl Zanuck. I was actually preceded by Audie Murphy, who met with Desmond Doss. So Desmond had Hollywood at his doorstep, I found out, and he had no real interest in exploiting his story. He was a very modest, humble man, never considered himself a hero. And it's a long journey, but basically what happened, there was a gentleman named Terry Benedict, who is another reason we're all here and had the opportunity to get this film made after so many years. Terry had a relationship with Desmond, and he was convinced, he convinced Desmond that he would leave it up to his church, the Seventh-day Adventist, to basically interface with us eventually, and I'll let Bill speak to that. But Terry Benedict was doing a documentary at the time and gained Desmond's trust. He was very close to Desmond and the church. He was a member of the church. So Terry became kind of the liaison for us eventually. And what happened was I had thought about going to a number of places to finance the early development of the project and had a couple of conversations with a few people, and Bill had just left Fox and started his company, and I was fortunate enough that I brought it to Bill, and Bill really responded, and we got involved in the very early stages of development with Terry, and it's been a long journey. The term development hell in Hollywood, I guess, it took a long time, but I said to Andrew earlier today, I think things are meant to be when they're meant to be, and the way this film has come together with everybody here is a miracle in itself. And obviously when Mel became involved 2 years ago, that's when we really started to gear up finally for production after all those years. Anyway, Bill, I'll let you fill in. Okay,
so Terry Benedict had the rights. I bought the rights from Terry and the Adventist Church. They set up a council, Doss Council, to protect the rights of Desmond, and we had a very broad agreement, which was really we would not do anything that would contradict any of Desmond's beliefs, and nothing else. We would have a license to tell the story the way it should be. So I funded the rights and thought you had to do this independently because you didn't want the religion to be more or less. You just want to tell the story the way the story should be told. When what Andrew said of the structure that we decided with Robert is it's very unusual. It's not a 3-act structure. It's pretty much a 2-act structure, in that you spend the time meeting people, and then you're dropped into battle. So we brought in Robert, who was had run the Pulitzer for Kentucky Cycle and had written on 2 of the shows of the Pacific, and he wrote the Johnny Basilone story, which is almost Desmond's polar opposite, more like Smitty, truthfully. He's the guy who fires the machine guns. But anybody who understood a hero to me could understand the other side of that. So, and Robert's script was good enough that kept us alive for 10 years or 11 years. It really wasn't development hell. There's only 3 writers on the project. And so it was more the financiers, people didn't, World War II wasn't in vogue. Religion was an issue in the picture, 2-act structures, that when we're in to me, the worst of times in the movie business, and that the movies are, all prefab houses and all anybody cares about is it is a sequel, and everything else is thrown away. And when you're making a movie with scale, you can make really small movies, but you can't make those middle-level pictures today. And that's really, it's not development hell, it's Hollywood hell.
Yeah.
And in 2002 and in 2010, I took it to Mel. I mean, when I was running Fox, we financed Braveheart. When I first met with Mel, the Braveheart was stuck in the same kind of limbo. People didn't want to make it. Who cares about Scottish freedom and a guy in a kilt and all that stuff. And when I sat down with Mel that first time, he had watched, I think, every battle scene in every movie ever made, and took me through the movie of, this is what we're going to do, this is how it's going to be, all that, the Mel stuff, and he's better at that. But and so it was an easy movie for me to get behind, and I always felt this movie was a different form of Braveheart. I used to pitch it that way, that it's William Wallace and Desmond Doss are in some ways very similar men. They were 2 men who were prepared to die for what they believed in. So one was violent, one was nonviolent, but it's still at that same center. And it just felt like, with the religion, with the faith, because I think, even though I think we've done well by the Seventh-day Adventist, it's really not it's not a movie about religion, it's a movie about faith. That with Mel as who he is as a person, and the battle stuff that, there was nobody else. I mean, I've never gone to the same director and had them reject me twice, to go back the 3rd time. It's either a glutton for punishment or everything worked out perfectly.
And perfectly, it did work out. I can't encourage you enough to go see Hacksaw Ridge. It is an important telling of a key man and key battles in the annals of American history. But right now, I am thrilled. We have her here live once again, the head crazy bitch of the Crazy Bee Nation. Hello, Jane Clark.
Well, hello there. How's everything going?
Well, it's going. How's everything going with you?
Moving forward, one step at a time.
One step at a time. I mean, I don't know if you were just listening to the excerpt of when I was talking to the producers of Hacksaw Ridge, and even Bill Mechanic is talking about, you got Mel Gibson attached, you got this great story, and you can't get money.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It's finding that middle ground, and that's kind of where you're at right now with Crazy Bitches too.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's the kind of thing where you, particularly when you're talking these lower budget projects, you have to finance it almost purely on equity of some sort. So, just cash coming in the bank, and there's several ways to do it, and I'm putting it all out there and hoping that as a collective thing, it's going to amount to what I need, at least to get into production, because once I get into the production, I think that I'll be able to show the film to people and get the rest of the money. But I need to get into production, and for my mental health as well.
And I can honestly tell people, there are a lot of people, because right now Jane has a great Indiegogo campaign going, and we're going to talk about that in a second. But there are so many filmmakers that will start an Indiegogo campaign, or they're out, pitching for money and looking for things, and the money isn't going for the production. It's sustaining their quote-unquote life expenses while they're getting around to making a film. And that's not what you do.
No, well, that's not really what those Indiegogo campaigns are for. I a lot for all the money, and I know where it's going, and none of it gets spent until the production is underway.
Mm-hmm.
It's in a bank that's dedicated to Crazy Bitches 2, or as I was calling it, Crazier. But of course, I know people. I've known of people that do that, and I think that that's unfortunate because it skews the potential for everybody else, who's legitimately raising money to see the movie made. But this will be my fourth feature as a producer and my third as a director, and I have a track record, and I have never, I've always seen it through. I've always gotten my films made once I've committed to getting them made, and I have a history of spending the money where the money's supposed to be spent. So I take that actually really seriously, partly because I have to also finance with investors. I've put my own money into my films. I've done product placement, and everybody expects a certain behavior and expects you to respect the money that they give you. And I certainly give to other Indiegogo campaigns. I hope that they'll do the same. I hope that they'll handle the money the same way that I would. So, yeah, I think it's from an integrity standpoint.
Well, I can honestly say, Jane, that knowing you through Crazy Bitches, now with Crazy Bitches 2, and looking and checking out the website. You've got crazierbs.com. You have everything accounted for. You explain how you're approaching this entire film, from story synopsis to script to casting to product placement to, hey, if you want to invest, if you want to, give $12, that's great. And then 6 months later or a month later, if you want to give another $12, it's all cumulative. And this is something that you don't normally see, the amount of detail and transparency that you are showing everybody.
Well, I feel like you can't be as helpful as you could be unless you're as fully informed as you can be. And it was one of my pet peeves when I was acting, where I would, ask the cinematographer, or I would ask the director, what is my frame, or when I did this, at what point did I do this? Because I feel like I'm out of continuity. Like, I'm asking the questions to make sure that technically my work as an actor was as good as it could be, because creatively I was able to deliver. But for some reason, people feel really fearful about sharing the details of how a film is made, from the DP telling the actor to the producer informing the writer. It's like, I don't know why you would hide the information and not give everybody the knowledge they need to do the best job they can do. So I sort of have taken that philosophy. I've always applied it to my work as a filmmaker, and I have just continued to apply it outside of that to the people that are giving me the money, because I want them to understand. And I also think, making films is a big mystery for a lot of people. How's it done? I have a donor who's been very generous to me over the last couple of campaigns and continues to be. And she emailed me the other day, and because I had said thank you so much for always being there, and she said, I hope someday that I'd be able to sit down, for 15 minutes with you over coffee and just find out a little bit about how it's done, like how are films made, because I find it fascinating. And she had actually got my original script, so one of my perks on my last thing was my original script with all my notes and my diagrams from the shoot. And I asked her, I said, did you enjoy it? She said, I didn't understand any of it, but I loved looking through it. But, it's like it's like we keep it all secret. And why are we keeping it secret? don't know. Maybe people think it's going to kill the magic, but I just think it makes it more interesting. And then you feel like you're committing to something that you understand what you're committing to rather than blindly investing in something, you know?
And then, of course, you look at anybody that has seen Crazy Bitches, the production values are exceedingly well done, are very high. And yes, red, blood. Jane is very, 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 very attentive to blood in her films.
Well, you know, I have to share that credit with my visual effects guy because he's just fantastic. And
He's amazing.
He worked for a while as an EMT.
Yeah.
You know, he was actually legitimately an EMT, and he saw a lot of blood and a lot of accidents, and, you know, he comes with a great deal of knowledge. So he's been teaching me a lot as we go along. It's been great.
So now I'm curious, with Crazy Bitches 2, Mommies Behaving Badly, do we see a lot of blood in Band-Aids? Will we see blood in Band-Aids?
I don't think you're going to see a lot of Band-Aids because once the blood starts happening, the Band-Aid is really not going to do much.
Well, you know, to give people an idea, because I know you already have the script done.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And this takes place, PTA mommies. Now, for all of you people out there who might have seen Bad Moms, okay, knowing Jane is going to take something like the idea of Bad Moms, and now we have Mommies Behaving Badly here. So you take the raucous behavior of Bad Moms, and we translate this to a kid's Christmas pageant in the PTA, my mind reels at what Jane is going to give us.
It is. So, I have to say, it's so much fun, and I really loved the first Crazy Bitches, but I think I top it with this one. I've sort of freed up a couple of restraints that I had on the first one, and I just know that because I know the characters so well. A lot of the, you know, there were a few people that lived through the first one. They're coming back, so I have a real strong base of where I'm starting from, and I'm bringing a lot of the same actors back. So I have that to go with too. So I'm able to build on some really already firm ground. But it's fun. It's so much fun. I mean, it's so much fun. I can't wait to make it. And honestly, you know, I went to see Bad Moms with some mommy friends of mine. I was really curious to see what they did, and I was curious to see how my friends with, you know, preschool kids or, you know, kids in school, how they reacted. And everybody was pretty much like, you know, that was fun. It was funny. It wasn't a great movie, but it was an entertaining day out, you know. But I couldn't help thinking through the whole thing that, you know, if you love Bad Moms, even if you liked it, you're going to really enjoy Crazier because I'm approaching it with the same idea, which is that these women aren't really bad, except that they're a lot more bad than the women in Bad Moms who basically just wanted a cocktail. Like, I was like, I have plenty of girlfriends with kids, and we go out for cocktails. Like, why is this such a hard, like a girls' night out? Why is that so inconceivable? I don't understand. But, you know, Crazy Bitches 2 really pushes it a little bit farther than that in their behavior. But ultimately, like, they're like the girls in Crazy Bitches. They're good women. Just have some issues.
Yeah, and
the issues end up getting them killed.
You know, and because this is set at Christmas, and all I keep thinking of, knowing your style with Crazy Bitches, I keep thinking it's like Crazy Bitches 2, Mommies Behaving Badly is going to be like a meld of Crazy Bitches and Bruce Willis in Die Hard.
Well, we have some good fight scenes. We definitely do have that.
See,
I think that. What's that?
No, I was going to say, you know, it's like I just that's what I keep envisioning.
Well, I don't think you're that. I don't think you're that far off. I mean, it's. I've sort of amped up everything that was in Crazy Bitches. I took it a one step further. So, like, the really cool fight scene in Crazy Bitches on the hill, magnify that 3 or 4 times, and that's what's in Crazy Bitches 2. And
I was going to say, and your cast, you've got Candace Cain back.
Candace is coming back. She's a much bigger role this time.
Oh, thank God. And you've got John McLaughlin.
Yeah, John's coming back, and Guinevere Turner's coming back, and I believe David Fimero's coming back. He's waiting to find out what his schedule is for Power. He's on Power, and they shoot that in New York. So there may, we'll see what happens with that. But I'm going to try to make that work. And then the woman who plays Alice, Victoria Profeta, the woman who plays Minnie, Liz McGeever, Kathy DeBorno is coming back.
And then you've got Trey McCurley.
Trey's got a bigger role. Actually, everybody who was in the original has a bigger role, and then the smaller roles are going to the people that are coming in. Yeah.
Aren't you generous?
I don't know. I love these people so much. It's so much fun to work with people you've worked with before. And they're all, really, honestly, they're all good friends of mine. Some of them were new on Crazy Bitches, so they're newer friends, and some are just people I've known forever. And then I have this fun sort of side thing where Guinevere Turner plays a soap diva, and she's got a kid in the school, and she's basically Susan Lucci with blonde hair. and you could see Guinevere playing it. It's just a perfect role for her.
Easily.
But I have some on-screen moments where you see the actual soap opera she's in. So, like, Candace Cain's assistant is
how funny.
like loves the soap. So anytime she gets a chance, she's watching it instead of working. And so I needed to shoot a couple scenes. I'm going to have to shoot a couple scenes with Guinevere and another actor playing, a soap actor.
Mm-hmm.
And I have this friend of mine, Kirk Geidecker, who used to be on One Life to Live years way back in the day. And I haven't talked to him much recently, but we have stayed in touch on Facebook. And as I called him, I was like, I don't know if you want to do this, Kirk, but this could be a lot of fun. And then once I started thinking about it and how I could use him, because he totally was all over it, thought it would be a hoot, I started thinking about how I could incorporate him a little bit into this one so that I can carry him into the next one. Because Kirk and I have always wanted to do a film together. We were actually I was supposed to direct him in a project years ago that fell apart. So this is like a full circle. We're coming back around to being able to do what we had meant to do, 10 years ago, and just weren't able to. So that's kind of fun. And a little tongue-in-cheek, since he was a soap actor he'll be playing a soap opera star in a soap. Blah blah blah. It's like a very meta moment in my life.
And those are cool moments. So now before I unfortunately have to let you go today. I'd keep you on for the whole hour, and we could talk for 4 hours. We could.
For sure.
How can everybody get involved and become a part of the Crazy Bee Nation and support Crazy Bitches too?
Well, the most obvious thing you can do is donate. And the Indiegogo campaign is igg.me/at/crazybs2. Tweeting that out, sharing that, telling your friends, all of that's very, very helpful. We're having a party. If you live in Los Angeles, we're having a party, so you can go to the Indiegogo page and buy tickets. It's November 16th from 5 to 8. It's a happy hour party with, pictures, photo booths, silent auction, actors will be there, drinks, pass around food. It's going to be a lot of fun. So if you live in LA, come to that and support us through that. And just keep talking about the project. We need the help. We definitely need the help. We're a little film trying to be bigger than we are and bring entertainment to everybody, so. And
I can't. And the perks you have for people, it's not just that you're supporting what's going to be a really fun film. It's a great and a wonderful filmmaker herself, but the perks are just absolutely terrific.
Oh, good. I like them too. I think
the perks are great. You have personalized dog bowls. You've got Christmas tree ornaments, of which I only bought 7 or 8 of them. I don't even remember. I gave them out to people last year. I may have to get more this year. But
what we got coming up too, which is really cute. It's a little camisole with boy shorts, and it says "Crazy Bitches 2" on the front of the camisole, or I think it might just say "Crazy Bitches" and "Crazy Bitches" on the back of the panties. So they're really, it's super cute, and it's a really nice Christmas gift if you know a crazy bitch in your life.
Everybody knows at least one. Trust me.
At least one.
Well, my friend, during the campaign, you're going to have to come back on the show again so we can talk about it more.
I am more than happy.
I know. I love having you.
I love being there, here, wherever I am.
Wherever.
I love being on the phone with you.
I know. We always have so much fun. I mean, and as I said, I'd have you all day, but now I have to bring on two other wonderful filmmakers who have a really fun film with time travel and music and all kinds of cool stuff.
Ooh, oh, cool.
Oh yeah.
I'll listen through and check their stuff out.
Oh, definitely. And Jane Clark will be back with us. In the meantime, everybody go to igg.me/AT/CrazyBS2 and join the Crazy Bitch Nation and support Mommie's Behaving Badly.
Please, thank you.
Thanks, Jane.
Talk to you later, Debbie.
Bye-bye. And now, a special lead-in for our next special guest.
Jumped into a river, flowing in the wrong direction, heading for a mountain, offering no exceptions, but we're not erasable. No, we're not erasable. Promises we made, some of them were broken. Apologies were paid. Some were never spoken, but we're not erasable. No, we're not erasable. If memories had free, I'd be a millionaire. If you were in the past, you know I'd meet you there. Sightseeing, where you going? Sightseeing, might as well choose time.
And we are live with the incredible filmmakers Chris, Fetchko, Marina Donahue. Hey, guys.
Hey,
how are you?
You see, you even get your own soundtrack as your intro.
I know.
Thank you so much.
Welcome, welcome. And for those listening, that is the music of the Badleys. And I got to tell you, the soundtrack alone is reason enough to see All in Time.
That's
Oh,
what people
thank you.
say. And people are downloading the soundtrack as they're leaving the theater.
It is, and I'm a huge lover of music and films. You know, my master's thesis was actually on the Hollywood movie musical, so I like to see how music is incorporated
Oh, wow.
and used in film. And yours is, all of your music here, it is not gratuitous, it's not inserted just to have stuff. It is very much integrated into your story.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
we
thank
definitely made
you.
an effort.
Yeah.
You go ahead, Chris.
If you buy the actual soundtrack, we wrote a little thing in the liner notes. And for those of you that don't know what liner notes are, that, you know, for the older people, we wrote a thing in there saying that, you know, the music actually inspired the film because somewhat autobiographical where I worked with these artists before we made the movie. And I'd like to think it's one of the few films that the soundtrack came before the film. So the music is so organic to the movie.
I
And
mean,
you being doing your thesis, I would love for you to tell me if I'm wrong because I'm not very researched on the matter, you know?
This particular All in Time would not be what it is without this without the music of the Badleys and from Laura Shea.
Exactly.
It both are so integral to totally different styles of music, but integral to your story points, to your very personal journey here, Chris. Yes, right away it was like, all right, this is Chris. Chris is writing about Chris, which is why I'm so glad that Marina came on board collaborating, because it enabled, instead of being so autobiographical with the character of Charlie, you really got to get some depth and perspective with a third eye.
Right, and yeah, because it was interesting because I wrote the first draft of the script, and it was almost like a journal entry, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I gave it to my friends and family, and of course my mom is always on my side, and you know, my friends know the whole story, but Marina came in, and she was completely neutral to what was happening. And, I was smart enough where we didn't want to do a biographical piece on me because nobody knows who I am, so that's not going to sell a movie. And nobody knows really who the Badleys are. So Marina was like, okay, I don't care what happened in real life. Let's make it a great movie, So it was a good collaboration.
Now, for those that aren't familiar with All in Time, which, by the way, everybody, there's no excuse not for you to see this film. You can find it on Amazon, iTunes, Google Play, Vimeo. The music, you can download the track on Amazon, iTunes. No excuses not to see this charmer of a film. But I'm in love. I am in love with this film.
Thank you so much.
I think Tim will tell you. It's like I sent him an email. It's like, oh my God. It is.
Thank you. We're getting really great reviews. People who are watching it on Amazon are writing their reviews on it, and we have a 4.9 out of 5 stars right now on Amazon, which we're really proud of.
Well, and I can't wait, and I'm so thrilled to get to share this information. The other day, All in Time just got sold for distribution in China.
That's right.
And I'm particularly thrilled because there are two online publications in China that actually download and pick up the video of Behind the Lens and run it in China.
Oh, wow.
That's so great.
So
should we be using Google Translate right now and talking in Chinese?
No, we're not. They actually download the whole show off of YouTube, and they air it over there, English. They don't touch anything. They don't change anything. Okay.
Wow.
Granted.
Wow.
Do we have some copyright infringement going on? Yes, but as my attorney said, how many billion people are in China?
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
for those that do not know the story of All in Time, other than the fact that it is based on Chris's life in part, give a synopsis of this little gem.
Go ahead, Marina.
Okay.
The unvarnished one, yes.
So it's about a guy who quits his job in New York City to move home to his small town in Pennsylvania to follow his dream of managing his favorite rock and roll band. And as he's on this journey, he's obviously completely changed his life to follow his dream. He invests all of his money, his time, his effort, everything into this film. And he also has a beautiful, supportive girlfriend played by Vanessa Ray, who is from Pretty Little Liars and Blue Bloods. She's beautiful in this film as the girlfriend who starts to get a little bit pushed aside, I should say, by Charlie's behavior as he gets more wrapped up in the band and as the band starts to have problems. So it's a journey, really, of the relationship between these people and the choices that we make in life as we follow a dream and what we give up for our dream. It's actually a really beautiful love story, and with some great surprises. We have some big twists.
You have some twists in there, and I will let people know, without giving away what one of the twists is. Lynn Cohen, the beloved Lynn Cohen, who also has another she's in another movie that's out right now, The Pickle Recipe. I adore Lynn. I first met her 6-7 years ago when she was in Hello Lonesome, and I interviewed her.
Oh, neat. Yeah, she's a pistol. We had a ball with her. Yeah, so Lynn plays this nosy next-door neighbor to Charlie. Whenever Charlie comes home, Lynn is there rocking in a rocking chair, inserting herself into his business. But with a very big heart and a very well-meaning. And when Charlie loses his way, it's Lynn's character who puts him back on his path.
The wisdom of age.
Exactly.
That's right.
Exactly.
But yeah, you have some wonderful. You got a couple more twists in there. But something that I really love about Lynn's character of Mrs. Joshman, all of her geraniums grow beautifully.
Okay, well, since this is a film behind the lens, let me tell you what we did with that. We had a very creative art director and his team. They would go, for whenever we had to, we were very, very low budget, and we had to cut costs at every turn. So when we needed to plant that garden for her, our team went over to Home Depot, brought all of these beautiful flowers, set them still in the pots and then just put bolts around them. We shot the scene, and then they returned all of the flowers.
And of course you shot this, which I just thought was charming. Coming from suburban Philadelphia, you shot in Wilkes-Barre.
Right.
How
I think.
how did you pick Wilkes-Barre as your location? It's perfect for this film.
Well, that's actually I'm from specifically a town called Hazleton.
Mm-hmm.
But Wilkes-Barre is sort of like the hub of that whole area.
Right.
And so that's where I grew up. And like in real life, there's this band, the Badleys, and that's kind of one of their bases. You know, Pennsylvania is Philly and Pittsburgh, and then everything else is just called Pennsylvania. You know what I mean?
Pretty much.
So they had the Harrisburg base and the Wilkes-Barre base. So that was the closest one for me. So I would spend all my time in New York driving home on weekends to see them play in Wilkes-Barre.
Were you crazy?
So
Did your mother drop you on your head as a child? Were you crazy? Did your mother drop you on a head as a child?
Oh yes. Well, I'm in therapist. We could conference my therapist.
That's
right
a
now, and we
long
can get into it.
drive.
Yeah, no, it's a 2-hour drive, and just like in the movie, I literally I was living in New York, and everybody was like, hey, come to the Hamptons this weekend or come to here, and I'm like, no, I'm heading to Wilkes-Barre, and everybody was like kind of making fun of me, and then at one point I was like, guess what, guys, I'm actually moving to Wilkes-Barre to manage these guys. So, but Wilkes-Barre is really important to me because the charm of the city juxtaposed to New York City. I love both places, but it actually plays into the story really well. And our cinematographer, David Dunlap, who is the DP on House of Cards, who is just nominated for an Emmy, makes the city, everything in the film is beautifully shot, but the city itself is its own character. And I wouldn't shoot. If I could have done it anywhere else, even if money wasn't an issue, I would have shot it in Wilkes-Barre. I think Marina would agree with that too, right?
It's beautiful. It's just absolutely charming, and we wanted to make it a character in the film. And it actually is what lured in this amazing cinematographer.
Mm-hmm.
He loved the script, but once he came to Wilkes-Barre and saw its beauty, he couldn't wait to shoot it.
Yeah, Wilkes-Barre is still, it's not as developed as some of the other suburban areas.
Right.
So the architecture it's well preserved, it is maintained, and it's a slice of the past that is timeless.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I just fell in love. I saw that immediately, and I'm like, oh my God, it could have been Fort Washington, it could have been Wilkes-Barre, all these little enclaves.
Yeah,
Right.
and it's also a bit symbolic. Sorry, go ahead, Chris.
But no, but we shot the film we started in 2011,
Mm-hmm.
but we set the film in the 90s.
1999 or something, yeah.
Yeah, it starts in 1996, I believe, and it's like 2 or 3 years over the course of the film. And everybody was like, how are you going to pull off a period piece with a low budget? And I was like, have you ever been to Wilkes-Barre? Because there was an actual record store that was still there that, people think that we built, but it was literally still operating. And the saying is, it's like Wilkes-Barre is 2 hours and 20 years from New York,
Well, I mean, I'm from Plymouth Meeting, right outside, Philly, and there's still record stores there. There's, brick and mortar things all over the place, even in little strip malls, the little pizza places that have been there for 40 years now. And it's fabulous. So, I mean, it is. People don't realize what you can find, especially when you're doing a quote-unquote low-budget, no-budget film, that will add so much character to the film as a whole while being its own character.
Exactly.
Right.
And it's symbolic as well of Charlie's struggle. The town had seen better days, and it's in its decline, but yet there's still beauty and hope. And that's pretty much what Charlie, he's looking at a band that has seen better days, but there's still beauty and hope. So it's a perfect symbolic place for us to set the story.
So now, because music is so important, and the Badleys are very important in this film, in the film called The Damsels, and I love how you spell it. It's brilliant, brilliant play, spelling it DAMNSELS. And I know you've got... the lead singer and the drummer of the Badleys actually are in the film.
Right.
Did you have any trouble convincing them to participate? And why just a couple of them? Why not the whole band?
Well, if it were up to me, the one thing I wanted to do that inspired this movie was I was in the music business for a while, and I would see movies about music, and it would drive me crazy when there was lip syncing or, the two people go into a bar to see a band play, and all of a sudden, as soon as they enter, the music dips and the people are talking normally, normal level. And it's like, no, you scream when you go to a rock concert.
I haven't been to any of those bars.
So, yeah. So I wanted to have the music be as accurate as possible. So the relationship with the guitar player in real life is what caused me and the band to sort of go our separate ways. So I kind of stayed in touch with the rest of the band. The band sort of fell apart. I went and wrote the script, met Marina, developed the script, and then the guitar player and I reconciled, which was great because we had the whole band actually come and play their music, and we recorded it live on set. So, and then what we did was we had playback when we were filming, so they're lip syncing to their own live recording.
Right.
So it's almost like a concert film in places. I hope you agree with that. But it's not a concert film. It's not The Last Waltz. It's a story. It's a love story that happens to take place within a music world. But the only reason why there's two of them in there is because the Glenn character we really developed in terms of the acting. Marina. There's an example of in one of the first drafts I killed the guy off at a fiery car crash, and. But we gave this guy a really great arc in terms of acting, and we kind of wrote around everybody else because they're not actors. So the drummer and the lead singer were able to pull it off. And then there's one guy in every band that never says anything.
Of course.
So I wanted to put that element in there. And so we have a silent guy that has no lines on purpose, and he's a real musician. And the actor who plays a guitar player is the only non-musician in the movie that's quote-unquote faking it. And because we're behind the lens, that was one of the biggest challenges, was to get this guy. If you look at the editing, it should win an award just for fooling the audience that this guy's actually playing guitar.
Well, I'm glad you bring up editing, because I love the editing, and I love the editing particularly with your musical sequencing. And Mike Taylor, who I've always been a fan of Mike's work. I know Ira Sachs loves Mike and what he did on Love is Strange. And then you've got Cindy Lee, Spirit Award nominee. So,
Right.
You've got a great editing team in there. How long was this editing process?
Oh, my God. I'll let Marina handle this one. I'm driving, so I can do the math.
Okay. Well, it's part of the whole process. It took us 5 years to make the film. So so Chris and I spent 2 years writing and casting and raising the money, and then we shot in 2011, and we edited the first go around, and we tested the film, and it wasn't working. Nobody really liked it. It was not doing well in all of the test audiences we had. So we kept trying to fix it, and it just wasn't working with the existing footage and the existing dialogue that we had. So we went back to the drawing board, and we decided that we needed to kind of revamp the whole script and re-edit the characters who people weren't liking. And people weren't liking our lead character. People weren't liking Glenn, the guitar player. People weren't liking Mrs. Joshman. And the really important key things, they weren't caring about them. So it took Chris and I a couple years to figure out how to fix this film, and it almost died. I mean, we needed a lot of money. We were at odds with what we needed to do, and the film really almost just completely died. And in fact, it did for about 6 months. And then we got motivated, and a lot of funny things happened in that course of time. But we were able to come back together and write new dialogue for those characters.
Mhm.
We brought them in. We did ADR. We hired a new editor to take a new approach with it. So Michael edited the first bit, the first film, and then Cindy started from scratch.
Mhm.
However, both Chris and I were really wedded to a lot of the work that Michael did, so we asked her if we could please use some of Michael's work in the film, which she allowed.
Mhm.
So we re-edited, we put new dialogue in, we completely changed the story arc for Glenn's character, and we made him more lovable, and we shot new scenes where we had them reconcile at the end in a beautiful way. We started the film, like the first 10 minutes of the film is all things that we shot 3 years after the original
Oh my
shoot.
gosh.
And then Cindy really did a great job putting it all together, and voila, we ended up winning 12 awards on the film festival circuit.
Well, one question I have to ask, because there is a little cameo in there from a very old friend of mine. How did you get Wopat in there?
That was well, the dentist role
Yes.
was actually a bigger role in the original draft of the script, and our
It
casting agent
started the film, too. It was the very first
Yeah.
scene.
Yeah, right. And our casting agent, Judy Keller, was great, and she was passionate about it. And, Tom really responded to material, being a musician himself. And interestingly enough, I used to work at the label that Tom was at.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so that had nothing to do with it because he didn't know me. I was kind of like a low-key kind of person. But,
Mhm.
but on set, we had some fun discussions about his time on that label and all that stuff. But I think I can't speak for Tom, but I would imagine him being a musician himself kind of responded to the material because he literally, maybe I'm speaking out of school here, but I mean, he did it for scale, and when people work for free, they're doing it for a reason, and we didn't know him at all. We just approached him and thought he'd be good for the role. So I think he just responded to their script.
I am sure that is what brought him on board.
Right, yeah. 'Cause he's a great musician too,
Oh, he really is. He's a good songwriter. He's a great musician. A lot of people don't know his work before he got to Broadway. But no, he go all the way back to Wisconsin. He was singing and performing then, and his early albums are from the early 80s, are fabulous.
Yeah, I have to be honest. I haven't been able to check them out, but I'm gonna have to when we finally calm down from this tour that we're on. I'm gonna put that on my list of things to check out his early stuff because I only know from like 2000 on.
Oh no, he's got great stuff from the 80s. One of his best songs in the 80s was called "Red Hot and Blue."
Oh,
Red Hot and Blue. All right,
Mhm.
I'm
was that
writing
on the Red
down
Hot Blue
mentally.
album?
It actually is.
Okay, we'll have to
Yeah.
check that out.
Cool.
I haven't seen it either. I do have a great Tom Wopat story that I will always remember because it's very special to me. You know how when you're on set, there's a lot of downtime while they're setting up the cameras and the lights.
Mhm.
So we were sitting around, and my daughter was also in the film and worked on the set. She actually played the waitress towards the end of the film.
Who gets
but
shunned
she
and
had-
shushed?
No spoilers, ladies. No spoilers.
Yeah, no spoilers, but she's in there. And she had just done Oklahoma for her high school production, spring production, and she and Tom sang a duet while we were just sitting around in the waiting room of the dentist scene. And
Oh, wow.
it was like I'll just never.
I don't
and
even know. I don't
actually
even remember.
Taped it.
That's interesting.
Oh.
That's
Yeah, it
great.
was really sweet. I'll never forget that. He's such a doll.
So now I'm already getting. We didn't even get to talk about Laura Shea who plays Laura Kelly, and I'm getting we've got like 30 seconds to go. So
Oh, no.
I I must tell everybody can check out All in Time at www.allintimefilm.com.
Yes.
Yes.
Laura Shea is somebody that could sing the phone book and mesmerize people. She's a person that I worked with. I found her. I discovered her record serendipitously, and just like in the movie, she didn't want a career in music. She wanted to just have a regular life and not be in the spotlight and all that. And my dream was, okay, if I could just get this girl for 2 weeks to get her on film, then I can use the film as a way to get the world to see this girl's music. Because as much as I love the Badleys, Laura Shea blows people away. And I'm just glad that she's a doctor outside of Philly now, like a speech therapist. And she's always texting me. She's like, I'm getting emails. I keep getting emails from all over the place about, the film and stuff. So my dream is that she has no choice but to be a professional musician.
Well, guys, that's all the time we have today. Next week, I'm going to have 2 of your cast members on the show. So we'll be talking more about All in Time next week. Thank you so much. You guys have to come back on the show when we have more time.
We would love to. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chris, Fetchko, Marina Donahue, All in Time. And we'll be back next week. This is Debbie Elias for Behind the Lens.